Good afternoon. This is Clark Neighbors with your BIS weekly market commentary for the week ending April 28, 2017. Also a monthly update included, and when you look at the market over the last 30 days, as a general rule, very flat market as far as the grains are concerned. In fact, I don't recall a time or a period of over the last couple of years, in essence, where we've seen the markets this flat, going back to maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, when you look at just fairly flat range-bound market. But having said that, for the month, July corn and also new crop December corn are down about 6 cents for the month of April, with a whopping 19-cent trading range. Soybeans, virtually both the July soybean and the new crop November bean, were virtually unchanged for the entire month of April, with a 31-cent trading range. Wheat was down 7 cents. The shining star in the ag sector over the last 30 days and maybe over the last 60-plus days is the cattle market, which in essence is up almost $14–15 on the month. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. But in essence, very quiet range-bound market. Now the funds continue to add to their short positions in the grains, with corn now short 196,000 contracts, fairly substantially sized short, biggest we've seen in the last couple 3 years at this time. Wheat at 162,000 contracts short, added about 20,000 more shorts in the wheat. Beans now short about 48,000 contracts. We have the Wall Street Journal had a nice article earlier in the week about returns since the first of the year. Equities, the stock market in essence is up about 8% year to date. Same point, the commodities are down about 6% year to date. Most of that is due to the energy market being down about 8% since the first of the year. So the essence of the article is talking about a return, and right now, based on not as much fear on inflation going forward and that type of thing, the equity market, obviously, from a return standpoint, if you're looking at the funds, is where the better money has been over this last 2-3 months. So going forward, looking at the fundamentals, obviously a very wet weekend in much of the Midwest with some fairly heavy rains predicted. Also some fairly cold temperatures. Now once you get by this period, early part of next week, it looks like there's a bigger window for planting progress, if you will. So we'll see coming in Monday or the first part of May how that pans out. Many are looking for the planting report next Monday to be somewhere in the mid-30s as far as corn planting. In talking around to customers the last few days, even with this rain coming, it feels like there may be more corn in the ground than what we realize typically at this time frame. But obviously that's going to be a talking point going forward. Also, the cash markets in the grains continue to be, from a basis perspective, slowly improve. Corn basis up, maybe up as much as 2 cents this week. Again, bean basis stronger this week, 5 to, in some cases, as much as 10 cents higher, depending on what market you're looking at. We had good export sales again this week for both corn and beans. One thing to keep in mind, again, talking in regards to this weather, though, we may run into a situation in the next week to 10 days with higher river levels, water levels in the river, which could impede some loadings possibly. So we'll see if that has an impact on just the raw movement and inspections on movement going forward. Producer movement continues to be just lackluster and very slow, with the producer in the field and lack of interest in the market. Continue to see lack of movement, and that is why the basis has improved. Once the crop's in the ground, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because especially if there's any type of uptick in the market, especially in the corn, the producer owns a tremendous amount of corn that needs to come to town yet. That could have some pretty negative impact on corn basis going forward into this summer, in our opinion. As I mentioned earlier, cattle market continues to be very impressive. Cash on a week-to-week basis continues to improve. Is up another $5 to $6 again this week. The market is very current. Weights are down. Demand seems to be driving this market to some degree. And with the big move in the cattle again this week that comes after what was perceived to be a fairly bearish cattle on feed report a week ago today with a large placement number. But momentum strong. Keep in mind the funds are long cattle, over 100,000 contracts. And there's a fair amount of funny money there if the market decides to turn. If you have any questions on any of these commodities, feel free to give us a call here in Cedar Rapids. Phone number is 800-373-2525. Catch us on the web on BIScommodities.com. With that, wish everyone a great weekend.